Good morning and welcome. Who will you be if you were to achieve the most successful, responsible, fulfilled version of yourself? Have you ever thought about this? Perhaps you've thought about it, but have you ever intended to become that? Or is it just another thing that goes in the back of your head and you forget about it and you say later, tomorrow, next month, next year? For today's presentation, I would like to talk about this precise subject. This is what I call the adult self. The adult self is your self-image of the most fulfilled version of yourself that there is, that you can conceive, that you can imagine. And I truly believe that this adult self exists. And he's or she is looking somewhere up from the sky throughout time and space, and they're looking down at you with one single expectation in their mind, and that is for you to step up and take conscious, responsible action towards their fulfillment, towards becoming them. And I will say, that sounds like a little bit too big of a pie to eat at once. And that could be certain. It depends a little bit on what success means to you. It pretty much means what makes you feel energized. Your heart, when you think of this success, will start to feel like it's spinning, like it's becoming so alive. You feel warm inside because this thrills you. It makes you feel excited. The idea of, what if I was that? What if I had all of these things? This video is mostly two components, and the first part is what exactly this adult self is, but the second is also very relevant. It's how we work towards it, and just to close with what exactly this adult self can be properly defined, which I believe it's extremely crucial, and many people from different successful profiles in their lives have shared this bit of information, and that is that you must be very descriptive on what this adult self is. You have to be very clear with yourself, because, and think about it, when you think about something, you usually end up in some kind of loop that does not see a lot of continuation, and you forget about it, then it comes back and you remember somewhat the same thing. What I will suggest you is to grab a piece of paper, a pen, write it down, the name of this person. Perhaps you would like to be called differently. You want to think perhaps of a specific date. Which year is it? If you can be as specific as that goes. You want to write down, what does this person have? Which kind of belongings they have? How do they dress? How do they move? How do they speak? What do they know? What are they doing? They're probably doing the profession, if that is something that's on your head, that you will die to do. Perhaps it's just a personal project that you've been dreaming about, but you have not found the courage to take action towards it. You have to build this person, this character, and use your faculty, your higher faculty of imagination, to project this person and make it a companion in your life, your personal judge. This personal judge, this adult self, goes along with you, seeing everything you do, because you also see what they are doing. You understand that throughout any kind of event or circumstance, you will ask yourself, how will this person react? What will they do if they were here? You start to project them there. This is a very powerful tool because it also helps you overcome problems that you may have on your own, such as addictions can be, or other afflictions that you often indulge in towards or do towards yourself due to a negatively oriented paradigm. We have discussed what a paradigm is, and you can take a look at it in the previous presentations. Shortly put, it's your mental program that runs in patterns. You will see that you end up doing the same negative stuff over and over again. But this person, this adult self, he or she does things differently. And you start to pick up on these things. You say, well, probably they will not spend all night drinking, and tomorrow they will not be all wasted because of it. Because they are so focused on doing their personal stuff, their personal project, maybe that is, that they only have focus and attention on that. And when you start to relate and understand that you're the same person, at times you start to feel a little bit guilty when you do the other thing, when you take on the addiction, when you waste time, because you know this person is only expecting you to use that valuable resource, which is time. Every second that goes, it never comes back. When you start to project this adult self throughout your life, you'll realize that in order to become this person, you have to put some work. But this can become something of a good habit for you, something that will keep you motivated, because you start to realize how good would life be if you were just this person. This person has obtained, let's say, fame or maybe money, perhaps a good social circle, or whatever it is that it's on your desire. And if you truly want it, again, that feeling in your heart, you will strive for it. And he will judge every action you take. And you will also have to think, will this person do any of what I'm doing right now? Recently, going through the internet, I find many groups of men with severe types of addictions, and among those can be found that of pornography or chronic pleasing and masturbation, which leads to a lot of pain and a lot of wasting time. And a great exercise I suggest for people that suffer from this, and that can be also people that are alcoholics or using drugs, is try to think of this adult self, both seeing you doing that, but secondly, and very importantly, can you imagine this person doing that and somehow getting away with their success? Most likely you will figure out that they wouldn't. They would at once just set that away and say, you have to use your time responsibly. We have also discussed about the inner child, which is a younger version of yourself, which is more often asking you to provide care. You have to imagine them both. It's a whole dynamic. The inner child is asking you for care, for you to become responsible, a parent, a figure that they can admire, because you're the medium from being the inner child towards becoming the adult self. Ultimately, this inner child expects you as well to become the adult self. And the biggest illness that there is right now in the world is self-abandonment. And this is when you disconnect completely, when you let go of the steering wheel. Your adult self vanishes, you cast, a cloud in the skies, and your adult self as the sun becomes blocked, and your inner child becomes desperate because you turn into a ghost. You become transparent, you become idle, and this inner child, out of desperation, takes on the wheel. And that's why so many people that are immature, that they don't have goals, that they indulge in addictions, they often present an infantile behavior. And more often, that which is reflected through the lenses of the opposite biological nature of one. In this case, if you're a man, this infantile behavior somewhat relates to that of the female, we could say, but not in a fully realized way, but also immature, seeking validation, seeking protection, seeking someone that will take on your responsibility. This is how we can define your adult self. And you must be very clear on every single thing, because when you make things clear, you start to make a list on what kind of things you can start to work with. You don't have to say, well, I want to become a plastic surgeon, or this person is a plastic surgeon, the best in the world. It seems like a little bit too big of a step, but it all starts in behavior. How do they speak? How do they move? How do they treat others? Are they kind? Are they responsible? You start taking on these things. Then what kind of topics do they like? What do they like reading? What do they like studying? And you will start understanding that you can start approaching towards these things by simply watching videos or maybe reading a book that's related to this. And slowly you're building these steps. The more you think about it, the more you start going towards it. Just in the words of Mr. Earl Nightingale, you become what you think about. Those 6 magic words. I'm talking about Earls. This presentation is dedicated to one, but not Mr. Earl Nightingale. This Earl we're going to be talking about is Mr. Earl Shoaff. And I shall repeat his name again, Mr. Earl Shoaff, who was the mentor of Mr. Jim Rohn. I made a video presentation as well on his honor. Jim Rohn, he was a great ambassador of the teachings of Mr. Earl Shoaff. One of the things that really marked him for life, and we will connect this concept of the adult self there in a moment, is the following phrase. Mr. Earl Shoaff said, "You must become the guard at the front door of your mind." You must become the guard at the front door of your mind. Imagine your mind as a place. You are the guard in front of it. What are you doing there? You're protecting it from whatever bad things that may come in. You scan, you see what's loud, what's not loud, if that makes more sense. And I think what Mr. Earl Shoaff said was so brilliant, and Jim Rohn was affected by this teaching deeply. But it goes long ways, because the second part of this presentation is talking about the responsible use of your senses. And this is precisely what Mr. Earl Shoaff was talking about. He said, in other words, you have 5 fundamental physical senses and a 6th one, which is receptivity. The 5 ones are sight, they're hearing, they're smelling, they're tasting, and they're feeling. And receptivity allows you to obtain ideas that exist around you. Shortly put, that are coming from infinite intelligence. We have discussed about this subject as well. You will sit in the recommended sections, and I encourage you to learn about this. Now, what do we mean with the responsible use of the senses? This relates directly to what he said. You ought to become, or you must become, this guard at the front door of your mind. Your senses are the first filter that allows information to come in through your conscious mind, and your conscious mind through the use of the higher faculty of reasoning, what we call inductive thought or inductive reasoning, is what says or what really thinks and will say, is this good for me or is this bad for me? Now, if you're capable to do this with all of your senses, you are very well on towards your path to success, because it can be challenging. More often people, especially nowadays, live in a deductive way. This means that life or everything happens to them. This means that their senses, the way that they perceive the world, they work perfectly fine and they're very sensitive and all, but they do not use their faculty of reasoning to process this information. They're like a guard that is sleeping, and he just lets everyone rush into the building and steal things and go out or just pollute it or do all kinds of vandalism. You must be very careful with what you allow in your mind, because your subconscious is what will start to build a paradigm out of this. And you must understand what the paradigm of your adult self is. What is this person doing consistently that's taking them into that kind of success? And you will realize that this paradigm is, of course, positively oriented, and it gets rid of a lot of negative things that most likely you're indulging in. How do we start with this? By becoming responsible on the use of your senses. How do you use your sight to obtain information? And what do you take out of this information? Do you see things in a positive way? Do you see things in a negative way? You're perhaps on this beautiful place and you're seeing around, and you could use sight to become inspired by this nature and do something productive out of it. Or you could simply dismiss it and indulge in the negative use of your faculty of memory through remembering tragic scenes from a similar place where something happened in your life, let's say. Same for hearing, for tasting, for smelling. Have you ever considered this? How you could use these senses in a way that can be positively oriented? With the sixth sense of receptivity, you have ideas that can be positive or negative, and you can also catch them, process them inductively and say, is this idea good? Is this idea something that aligns towards the realization of this adult self? Or is it not really doing any of that? Because sometimes you will get good ideas too, but if they do not really align with what your adult self is, you should set them aside, because they will just consume your time. And it is kind of a test, really, to see if you have the will to entertain only one idea at a time and say, this is what I need, and anything else is not allowed. You become the guard that says, you're not allowed. You're not allowed. That is one of the highest forms of responsibility that one can attain within themselves. This is protecting your inner child, and from anything or anyone that comes with negativity, any event that portrays themselves as a negativity or adversity, you will say no to everything that is negative, and you will only allow things that are positive in your life. Because everything has balance, everything has yin, everything has yang, but you can always choose to pick one of these things out of everything. Out of adversity, out of tragic events, you can always take positive things. You listen to the comments of people, you can always find a way through imagination, through your faculty of imagination, to use it positively. You have a lot of tools, but you must be responsible. You must become the guard at the front door of your mind. If you are to become like your own son, your adult self, the most fulfilled, responsible, successful version of your own, you must become responsible on the use of your senses, on the use of your faculties, on the use of your body. Because as you allow information into your subconscious will take care of the rest. Understand that life, it's not about what you do, it's about what you think. You just don't do things. You do them because of what you think, because of your mental program. If your mental program is flawed, everything you will do at the end will end up negatively or in negative results, because it's coming from a negative oriented paradigm. If you only take good things into your mind, to your subconscious will start to build a positively oriented paradigm that will end up leading you towards positive results. Think about all of the spare time you have in your day. Even if you're brushing your teeth, these 5 minutes of idling in your mind, you can always use positively. You use your faculty of memory to think about that book you were reading, and your faculty of imagination to combine it with the faculty of memory and think, with this information, could I make it into an idea that can take me towards this desire I have? You have a great capacity of creativity. Use it, harness it, understand you have so many tools, and you work most likely perfectly fine in all of them. And even if a sense is hindered, people have shown times and times over and over again that that's no alibi, that's no excuse to not being able to achieve success. There's people that have been completely blind, deaf and dumb, and they have achieved great success in life into what they believed success was, and they inspired many people throughout time and space, through what we share as what we call the eternal community, the space that we all share throughout the history of humankind. Lastly, gathering all of this information, we can conclude that by using your senses responsibly, you can start making a pathway of progress, even if it's in the smallest of steps. The smallest of steps are always preferred than very big and steep ones that you try to climb, and when you're climbing it, you look back there, you will get scared from falling. If you take a small but long step that's more consistent, it feels more safe, and as you go up, if you happen to look back, you're gonna see it's a gentle slope, and if you happen to stumble, you will get back on your feet and make progress much more rapidly. But all of that is aimed towards that inner son you have within, that adult self, and you go along with your inner child that will be constantly telling you where it hurts, where you need to attend yourself, where you are perhaps abandoning yourself, or where you simply need more work. And lastly, I will invite you to become responsible of your senses, to become the guard at the front door of your mind, and with this, all kinds of sub-products which are positive will occur in your life. Addictions will go away, results will become more positive, you will feel more energized, you will become more motivated, and this emanates outwards. Everyone will start seeing it, and it's contagious. Become a source of inspiration to thyself first, a source of responsibility to yourself first, of trust. All starts inwardly and then it goes outwardly. Very importantly, it all also starts in how you allow things to come in. Think of yourself as having a banquet. What is the cost of your entrance? Are you allowing everyone just to rush in and take whatever and leave you with nothing and with a chaos for you to clean up later on? Or will you be more selective and only allow those who are paying the price, or that positive information that you understand will take you where you want to go? Thank you so much for watching, and I wish that this information helps you building your path towards the greatest of your attainments in life, your greatest dreams, to become as fulfilled as you ought to be, and you will be. From beautiful Iceland, I wish you to be on well.